Hi guys, just doing a quick review of Coming to America before the sequel comes out tomorrow. So this is a movie that I've watched many times, especially my family, like my mum and my aunt. Like they've watched it probably so many times, like probably more than me. But if I was gonna put this in a list of like my most watched movies, this would probably be in it. Yeah, definitely one of Eddie Murphy's best movies. And it's cool that the sequel's finally coming out on the 5th of March. Yeah, after all these years. But when it comes to sequels that come out, late, I don't know. I don't know how this one's going to turn out because Barbershop, the third one, yeah, that came out very late and it didn't really do that well. There's also a few other movies that came out late and also didn't do that well. I don't know if this one could be different. If it's at least decent, at least that's something. Because after I watched Barbershop 3 and I've never gone back to it, Barbershop 1 and 2, I like watch every 2 years, I should say, but Barbershop 3, like, I've never gone back to it. Yeah, which sucks. I just hope the sequel can be better. But yeah, this is a classic movie. Basically, I'm just gonna, say the main plot. So basically, there's basically a prince who lives in Zomonda. So yeah, and he's like his heir. He's basically gonna be an heir to a king of Zamunda, but then basically like the prince is supposed to be getting like a wife, like he's supposed to be getting married, but then it gets to a point where he doesn't really like that these people are doing everything for him in Zamunda, because basically people brush his teeth, basically give him a bath and wash him everywhere, and yeah, I don't want to get too much into that. Lol. And when it gets to a point where they pick his wife, like he's just had enough, and then that's when the story starts where he wants to go to America to find his own, wife. Kind of a strange storyline, but it's kind of something that I've gotten used to over the years because I grew up with this movie basically. But with my family, they literally grew up with it. It's just that they used to put this on all the time, so I basically watched it all the time. Every year or two, I've always watched this, so that kind of shows how many times I've watched this movie. And I'm 24, so yeah, I kind of lost count how many times I've seen this movie. Yeah, possibly over 30 times. I'm not sure. Like sometimes twice in 1 year. So it's a legendary movie. So yeah, that's basically the plot. And he gets accompanied by his servant, Simi. Like he's a fun character as well. I haven't really seen this actor in much else. I know he's been in other stuff, but this is the only one where I've seen him a lot in. Yeah, because he's an important character to Eddie Murphy's character, since he's the one who's basically guarding him. And well, they're both trained in combat as well, which we see in a beginning scene of the movie. Yeah, I'm just gonna talk about Zamunda as a place. So yeah, this is Zamunda. Definitely looks like a beautiful place. And even when we get to like America, we kind of can see like a library. Like when I go in the like library area, it actually have stuff of Zamunda, which was cool. Because it was in kind of moment where someone was gonna find out something about the main character, and he didn't want them to find out. So maybe taking him to a library was a bad idea, since he's a famous prince and his dad's a king. Yeah, so yeah, but definitely a cool location. Which I don't know, like when I see this movie on Amazon, I just don't know. Like some of the parts you can kind of tell are not real. Like some of the background parts, they kind of look drawn in, or maybe like a stand or something. But yeah, still like back then, like people would be like, "Wow, look at Zamunda." We even get to see like elephants and zebras, all type of animals, like in just the garden and stuff, like which is pretty cool. Yeah, all the guards and everything. Definitely beautiful inside as well. When we get to have a look inside. Also, there's that probably the most iconic scene of the movie. The dance sequence. All right, so the dance sequence. So yeah, this is the one that we always look forward to. Seeing this scene because it's definitely choreographed like very well, and I always like to see it. Like this is the one scene where I always make sure that I get to see it because there's some scenes in the movie where I'm fine missing because I always know how it goes anyway because I've watched it so many times. But I always enjoy seeing this scene. So yeah, this is the part where basically Akeem's getting married, but he kind of finds out that the person who he's getting married to is literally basically a servant. If you think about it, she's kind of like a puppet. Like she'll just listen to whatever he says, like literally anything. You know, when it gets to the scene where he wants to have like a word with his wife before they proper get married, then he kind of tests that fury on her because she literally listens to anything he basically says, apart from not listening. Yeah, because that's the only thing she can't do is she will not listen to him basically. Yeah, because basically she's like a robot, like having a robot wife. Because when he tells her to like back like a dog and everything and hop on one leg, like, oh my god, that scene. And there's that guard who sees it. I'm just surprised he didn't laugh. I bet there's like an outtake where he actually laughed because I'd laugh, man. Yeah, that was a funny scene. And yeah, the king, yeah, it's like the way how they do things in Zamunda, it's like normal to him. Like the way how, because basically this was like a arranged marriage from like a general. He wanted to give his daughter to the prince, and I guess they saw great honor in that. But man, the way how they trained her to just literally be a puppet and listen to whatever the prince wants her to do, that's kind of messed up, especially for the family doing that as well. But yeah, just the way how the king acts, it's like he's kind of used to people doing everything for him, and he's just grown up being like that. But Akeem's a bit different, and his mom kind of supports him trying to be different from his father and actually want to do things for himself. Yeah, so that's why he goes to America to find someone who will actually have an opinion instead of just listening to whatever he says. So basically, being like a slave in a way, a slave or servant. And then yeah, that's when his dad lets him go to America to find his future bride and delays the wedding, I guess, even though he's basically not going to get married to that person when he does find someone. And yeah, that's when we go to America. So in America, Akeem decides to go to New York in Queens, and especially in like the most rough area as well. That's where he has the taxi driver. Also, that scene when he pulls over the taxi driver by saying "halt," and then he just gets sweared at because, like, even the roughest area, like, of man, he doesn't really understand how the way things work, and when everyone's like swearing at him, he just doesn't even understand what they're saying. I don't even want to swear for an example. It says like what something means in a swear word is kind of funny. That scene, lol. And then when he goes to the landlord, because he basically wants to rent a place that is really terrible, and he basically rents a place that has like a rat, like just dirty walls, just basically the worst kind of place you could rent. Because he just wants to look like poor and just doesn't want to give away that he's basically a prince. And he literally just lets everyone in that area have all his jewelry and everything. Yeah, all of his luggage, and so it's just like the thieves, man. They're stealing all that stuff. Yeah, that's kind of like how Akeem's just like carefree. He is a nice character, a nice guy. Semi, like he's more on the side of royalty, but yeah, Akeem's a bit different from them. I think he takes after his mother because I think she's more like that. Yeah. But I guess I could move on to the barbershop guys because yeah, they're definitely some of the funniest parts of the movie. So yeah, these are the barbershop guys. They're basically, I think all of them, well, most of them are played by Eddie Murphy. I know the one on the right is definitely Eddie Murphy. Yeah, he's even in the scene in this like scene when they go to the church where he's basically playing as a band member. I think the lead guy, Sexual Chocolate, which is kind of a funny name. Lol. And then everyone hates his singing basically. But yeah, these three I definitely like have the funniest dialogue in the movie. Yeah, especially the one on the right, which that's Eddie Murphy's like main one. And that white looking guy, I don't know if he also plays as him. I sometimes get a bit mixed up with which character he plays as. But yeah, like Eddie Murphy's known for playing as multiple characters, which is cool. Yeah, he even does the same thing in the Nutty Professor movies as well. Yeah, definitely got a lot of talent to be able to play multiple characters at the same time. The scenes. Yeah. And I definitely find these guys really funny, especially when they're talking about, boxing and, Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson when basically their early days, just making jokes and stuff. Yeah. Just seeing them argue with each other, it's fun. And then that random guy who's in the barbershop who's getting his hair cut, which I think that's played by a famous person as well. And he doesn't really have any dialogue in that scene, but yeah, just the faces he makes is a bit funny. Yeah. Because basically, the only reason we meet these characters with Akeem is because he wants to get a haircut, even though he's just getting rid of his ponytail to look more normal. Because basically, Akeem has like a ponytail, which he grew from birth, but then he just cuts it off. Yeah, and pays $8 for it. Yeah, yeah. Eventually, he finds a girl that he wants to be with called Lisa. He kind of meets her at the church as well, since he finds out about the church from the barbershop gang. And he takes like a lot of interest from her because you can kind of see that she's a person that has a lot of opinions on things. Like she's trying to help out her community. Like he kind of admires that. Akeem does, and tries to get with her, but then he kind of has to go through the father who owns this place called McDowell's. So it's kind of like a version of McDonald's, and he's actually competing against McDonald's. Yeah, so basically, he learns from the barbershop guys that he needs to try to impress the father. But man, when they find out that, but when the father finds out that he's a prince, like that's when instant win. But Akeem's trying to win her over without finding out he's a prince because she'd be like, he doesn't really know how she'd actually react because he wants to win her the right way, basically. And his nice charm kind of eventually wins her over because, well, I guess I'll talk about her boyfriend. So yeah, through the movie, this is the person who plays as her boyfriend, and he also has like a haircut that you see in like this advertisement. So yeah, because at first Akeem thinks like the only reason why Lisa likes him is because of his hair, but obviously like other reasons. Definitely not because his dad's like a famous inventor and he's kind of living off that in he's basically his money. I just don't know how they actually got together though. Was it really because of the father? Because the father basically has like a way where he wants his daughter, sorry, to basically have someone where should be looked afterwards. But I mean, looked after. I don't even know what I'm saying, man. I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah, I'll just start again. So basically, the father wants someone to be with the daughter who's actually going to look after her, and I guess because I don't know if he wants. He says something about not wanting his daughter to struggle because basically like the father worked hard to get where he is, like 20 to 30 years to get McDowell's and the house he has and everything, and I think the wife too. But yeah, he just doesn't want the daughter to go through so much to earn a living. But the daughter has her own thoughts and opinions on what she wants to do with her life, and she doesn't really like to be controlled. And I guess that's why Akeem likes her because she has her own thoughts and opinions about things. And yeah, and then both her father and her boyfriend are trying to control her. And when it gets to a point where like basically they force an engagement on her without actually doing a engagement and getting the engagement ring. Like he just discusses it with the father, and when Lisa finds out, she's like furious. Like her reaction, you can tell in her face. She's not happy about that. Just like his parents and her father just speaking about that and not actually doing the engagement at the party, which there's a party that happens. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention because basically Akeem does work at McDowell's to get closer to Lisa, both him and Simi, and it seems like it's taking long to actually get close to her. He just tried to go like to a game with her, like a sports game when people are playing basketball, but then you're like, it seems like Lisa's sister is getting closer to Akeem instead. Mika, yeah, that's her name. But Akeem likes Lisa. He doesn't like Mika because she seems like someone who would fit more with Lisa's boyfriend that she has right now. This guy in the picture. It seems like they would connect more, which eventually does happen at the end. And then Lisa eventually does get with Akeem, but by her choice. Like she doesn't get forced to be with Akeem. And it seems like a lot of time does go through the movie, like possibly a whole month, I think, before it goes back to Samunda. Because at the end, it looks like he doesn't really get to be with, Lisa. But yeah, this guy, he just wasn't really for Lisa, more like for the sister. Because of the way how he was and the way how he tried to control her, and that wasn't really what she wanted. She didn't want to be, controlled. She wanted to have her own voice and opinion on things. And I feel like doing someone, I mean, basically forcing someone to be engaged with you without actually doing an engagement, like having the win and proposing to him. Like, he didn't even do that. He just, like, saying that they're engaged without without Lisa actually knowing, which is kind of messed up. But yeah, I'm just going to move on from this character now. And I don't know if he's going to be in the sequel. It'd be a surprise if I see him again. Because I just don't know how they'd work that in unless he's still with Mika. I guess I'm just going to go through the rest of the story as fast as I can. Alright, so it gets to a point where, you know, Lisa and Akim are getting close. It's like, it gets to a point where, oh wait, I was thinking, well, basically that's what Lisa was thinking. Like, she was basically thinking that, Mika and Akim were a thing, but, he does say that he doesn't like Mika and actually likes her. And then like it gets to a point where she's thinking like, do I even like a double? But then it gets to a point where the kiss does that going out a lot. He doesn't really like. Well, at first he wants to take her to his place and cook for her, but then Semi's literally done something where he's actually basically fixed up the place, and then he can't really. He doesn't want to take her there because it looks like he's rich or something, like he's well off. Yeah. So I think he goes to like a restaurant or something. They basically eat out, and it's also like a reference from those two homeless guys who you see on the street that he gives money to. I think there was basically in a previous movie that Eddie Murphy was in, and they was kind of like together, but then there was like it was like when they basically had money and stuff. I just don't really, because I haven't actually watched a movie that those people are in. But that was basically a reference to them. Maybe one day I can discuss about that reference if I actually watch the movie. Maybe when I actually watch the movie, I can mention that reference again because right now, there's not really much I can say since I kind of found out about that from What Culture. And I always think like when they say we're back, I don't even know what that actually meant. But then I find out that it's from this movie that they was in, and Eddie Murphy was also in it. There was at a time where there wasn't on the streets and stuff. It was actually well off and stuff. But yeah, I'll talk about that another time. So yeah, back to the actual main story. So it gets to a point where Semi tries to get more money from Zamunda, but then instead the king and queen actually come down, and he's kind of shocked that actually happens. And they're basically looking for Akeem. And then Akeem kind of finds out that his parents are there, and he's trying to keep keep Lisa away from finding the parents because that's when they'll find out the truth. He even goes by that library and sees his history of Zamunda, and if she sees that, then she'll know the truth. So he makes sure that she doesn't see that, which I was saying earlier. That's what I meant from earlier. Yeah. But eventually, when he takes Lisa home, and the father's there, like he basically finds out that he basically sees the king. Yeah, and then that's when he he knows at that point Lisa's father, and he gets to a point where he doesn't want Akim to leave purposely, so the king can get there in time because he basically the father tells that Akim's at his homes, and then that's when the king comes. But I think before then, the like Lisa's father just reveals that he's a prince, and Well, I think Akeem leaves before then anyway. Yeah, he actually gets out. But then, the father still tells anyway. And she doesn't even know what to do with that information. And then he gets to the I guess the train scene where he's trying to talk to her, just show his true feelings and what he'd actually do. Like he'd actually give up being a prince just to be with her. Because Lisa does like him, but just the way how he lied to her, certain things like that, she was thinking like maybe we shouldn't be together. But he kind of leaves her with like a final choice. But it seems like she doesn't really accept it. And then, there's this lady who says that I'll be your princess. But then, like the train door shuts and then he just drives away and the woman's just still looking, but she kind of still has the wing. Lol. And then we cut to, I guess, the ending. So yeah, at the end, they actually get together. Because when Akeem is getting married, he's figured that it's just marrying another random person. But then, when she, lifts her fin, then he kind of sees that, it's actually Lisa. And, he's happy. And they kind of kiss before they actually do the words and stuff. Lol. Yeah. Then we just see him on the carriage. And then, you see Akeem say, like, he'd still give this up for her if that's what she wanted. And then she just goes, nah, because who would give all this up? Yeah. And then the movie ends. And yeah, I guess that's my review of Coming to America. Yeah, Coming to America. I'm happy I got to finally review it on the channel. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the sequel turns out. Hope it's decent, like I said. It'd be better if it's even more than decent, but we'll see. Because should I even discuss the main story here? Because, well, basically, he's looking for his son and he goes back to America to find him. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just see how the movie turns out. But yeah, that's my review of Coming to America, the first movie from 1988. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care.